Hello everybody. Where's the camera? Okay. Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Also, I did rearrange my room for like the 5th time. Anyway, back to the point. So, this week's video I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be attempting to crochet a beanbag chair thing. Let's try to do that this week, except I have a week to do this so I can edit this video by the end of the week. So, let's just get into it. So, I have a bunch of yarn from my old temperature blanket, actually, that I actually started, like 3 years ago. But we're using all the yarn from it, and we're going to rip out all the stuff from the temperature blanket and start this project now. Alrighty, guys, so here's my yarn for my temperature blanket. It's quite beautiful, but also I'm going to use it all for a totally different project. Anyway, so these are the colors that I have picked out, and also my crochet hook. And so I'm just starting with all of them, and I'm trying to make like a rainbow spiral kind of technique look thing, except of course, like after I had finished it and it looked kind of cool for the first like 2 rounds, I realized this is totally wrong, and that is not what I should be doing, because you can see here, I was like, wow, this is cool, except that's not a spiral, that's just a freaking lollipop. So I had to go back and resort to 2 colors, and then I did find out how to do the spiral kind of technique. I had to look up like a tutorial little pattern, but I eventually got it, okay, and it was alright. And here's how it looked. It was honestly looking pretty good. It was kind of confusing the first 2 rounds, and I was like, alright, I know what I'm doing. And I do want to mention, this is totally not like a tutorial for anything. This is literally me just having fun making a beanbag chair, kind of. I don't really know. Anyway, I kept on crocheting, and this took way longer than I thought it would. I mean, if we're thinking about it, a beanbag chair that is huge. Not that big, but like, it's huge. And I was just like, oh yeah, I can whip one up in like 5 days. Somehow I managed, don't really know how. Anyway, but I wanted to block this spiral now because it was looking kind of funky, except I have no clue how to block anything, so I just went with my instincts, I guess. I got a foam mat out, and I just sprayed the project spiral thing, I don't know, with a bunch of water, and then I kept doing that, and then I just got out my pins and I was just pinning it all over the place to try to help it to lay flat. And then I just let that kind of sit in the sun for a while, and so it could dry. And this is just me messing with that pin because it was totally out of place and annoying me. Anyway, I give it a few more spritz with water, and then yeah, I just let that sit. Once that was done, like drying, I went ahead and I kept crocheting around, except this time I kind of ignored the whole spiral idea I had, and I just went like around in like circles. I don't really know, like basic crochet. And this was probably the most satisfying part, to watch it go like around and around and like just have the layers build up. Really satisfying, but also really annoying. I want to thank Mariah Elizabeth, because literally I just watched all of her videos while I was crocheting this, and they were very amazing, satisfying. I don't know, I love Mariah Elizabeth videos, so she gives me so much inspiration, and so I literally was just watching her YouTube videos while I was crocheting this whole thing. Anyway, here's how we're looking. We're getting close to the end of this first kind of round thing. Anyway, here's me the next day. I look kind of busted, but also not really. I don't know, my hair is kind of gross. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Anyway, what was I face? Oh my goodness. Anyway, I kept on crocheting, and it took literally forever. I was working on this all day, but here's how it looks once it's kind of all done, this first bit. And then I had to take some blue yarn and build up some layers kind of on the side. So I went ahead to do that. I do want to mention, this is not the same teal green color. No, this is blue. Here we go. I'm still building up the layers, and it's literally taking so long, but I have 3 of them, and I'm gonna add 1 more layer with some pink. And yes, this is me the next day, and the lighting is totally different, but we're cutting off that yarn, and now the first bit is done. Moving on, here are the colors that I'm going to use for the other side of this pillowcase thingamabob. I don't really know what I'm making, honestly, guys, but this time I totally didn't go for any spiral. I just went for it and did like rounds around, and it looked really cool, almost like candy or something. I don't know, it's like really edible. I don't know what kind of description that is, but this part was faster. It was about the same. It was so long and boring, but also so satisfying. I do not know what was up with my face in that clip, but I feel like that's crocheting, honestly. It's so long and it blah blah blah, but it's like also so satisfying at the same time to like see something you've made and like have it come to life. I don't know why I needed to film me adding the yellow, because I didn't do that with any of the other colors, but okay, time to move on. And this is me on like day 5. I don't know. I've been working on this for a long time trying to get it done for this video because I'm terrible at filming and editing. But now we're adding the blue layers up on the sides, if that makes any sense. It's actually crazy. But I'm adding the blue layers up on the sides, and this part felt like the longest part. Okay, so it's like the last stretch, all right, that I need to finish. And then I just stop and put my hair up because that's important. What was I staring at? I was just like staring out to the distance. That's fine. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let's finish up this row because I need to do that. And see, there was one problem. I was slightly worried this wasn't going to fit because the only way I was making sure it fit was I was just looking up and I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely big enough. I was genuinely worried that I made this too small because I never like measured anything. But here's layer 1 or row 1 and round 2, and I forgot to speak crochet because honestly sometimes it makes no sense. Anyway, now I'm adding my final pink layer, which I added on the other thing, which will make sense in a few minutes. But this one was so long. It was the last part I had to do, and it took forever. But then I was finally done, and it was like a miraculous minute thing. I don't really know. And here's where we get funky because I want to make this almost like a pillowcase and put it around the Squishmallow, and so I can take my Squishmallow out whenever I want to. But that meant I had to use a zipper, and I have a bunch of these zippers that I actually thrifted. Like I thrifted a bag of zippers, and so I went ahead and picked out this pretty little pink one. Because the next part is basically assembling everything together. So we have the case that I just made, and then we have the other half that I made, like a day or two ago. And it's time for me to put these together. So I started by folding them inside out, and then I slip stitched them all together, but you totally can't see what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. I was slip stitching them together, and this was a little tricky, especially because somehow I made both of them different like sizes. One was like slightly bigger than the other, which is my fault because I totally didn't measure, like, count or anything. I literally just went for it and hoped it was okay. Anyway, I'm just slip stitching now. This is taking forever. Anyway, and I totally didn't realize it, but my tripod is literally right in the frame, and that is really annoying me, but that's fine. Anyway, so I went ahead and I cut off my yarn, and then here's how it looks. Oh my gosh, it's still in the frame. That is annoying, but I'm going to go ahead and add my zipper now. So I'm just grabbing some pins. I'm just going to pin it onto the part and then sew it. Now here's the thing. I don't know if there's some fancy way you're supposed to sew zippers on, because one time I had this bag that I had made, crocheted, and I got a zipper to sew onto the bag. And my mom was like, oh, let me do it because I can do it really nice and it'll be great. And yeah, basically telling me that I couldn't do it and that she needed to. No, not at all. But I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And so then I went to sew this zipper on, and I was like, is there some fancy way I should be doing this? But like my mom had other priorities. She like could not help me. Also, I think I woke up early to film this, and so she was just sleeping. So I had to figure it out, and I literally just did it, and it ended up being fine. So I don't know if there is a fancy way you're supposed to sew zippers on, but I didn't. So everyone who wants to come at me about zippers, don't, because I don't even know. You probably don't even know either. Here we go, I'm just sewing this on, and here's how it looked once it was done. In my mind, pretty good for someone who's never sewn a zipper on anything. This is inside out though, so hopefully the other side looks good. Now here's the trickiest part, pinning the other side and sewing it, and this was a mess, okay? This was the worst part, in my opinion, okay? It was weird to do it, and then don't ask me why my thread decided to have a little hissy fit and be absolutely dumb as I was trying to figure this out. So she was great. She was really nice. But I just kept on sewing. Oh my gosh, I filmed a lot of this. I don't know why I filmed so much, but it was now time to cut it off because I had finished and I was so excited. I love how I never showed you guys like what it actually looked like once it was done. I just like did that. And I was like, okay, let's go grab the Squishmallow now. So I pulled her down off of her beautiful chair, shelf, I don't know, and I had to push a bin back in because it accidentally came out. And then I threw her on the floor. My tripod's in the frame again. Oh my gosh. What am I going to figure out how to film? Good question. And I went ahead and grabbed the pillowcase. I'm going to call it a pillowcase because that's essentially what it is. And now it was time for me to try to shove it on the Squishmallow. And let me just say, this was like putting clothes on a toddler, okay? Clothing on a toddler. Like getting a toddler dressed. Why did I just say that like 5 times? And you're probably wondering, how do you know how to do that? Well, I have like 3 younger siblings, okay? I have it definitely helped them get dressed before. And this is exactly what I felt like. You had to like help them and like assist them and shove their little head in their shirt and somehow zip it up, and it was crazy. So yeah, but once I was finally done shoving and then zipping and then giving it a few extra little punches, this is not related to toddlers at all now. But once I was done with that, it was finally done. And look at this. I tripped in my freaking own pants and it was really embarrassing. That's fine. And I put it in this little corner because I needed to clean it up and I thought it was a good excuse. Here's how it looked. It looks honestly amazing in my opinion, and I'm absolutely obsessed with this. Like, it turned out so good. It's also very comfy, might I say. Like, very comfortable. Ignore my feet. And also I realized that behind my guitar and on the floor was really gross, so that was fun. Alrighty guys, well thank you so much for watching my video. I'm actually editing right now and I'm like out of town, so that is why I look like I'm in a very different space. But thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next week for a brand new one. I love you all. Bye bye.